My brothers and sisters in Christ, in J.R.R. Tolkien's classic The Hobbit, there's a point of the story when, and keep in mind, unlike the more famous Lord of the Rings, which is a much more epic, mature work of literature and fantasy, whereas The Hobbit is written at more of a child's level of understanding. And so there's this very clear image in The Hobbit when the traveling party has to make their way through the dark, the kind of foreboding forest of Mirkwood. And the great guide and wizard Gandalf tells them he can't make the trip with them through, but he tells them about this magical path that the elves have created that they are to follow through. And he says that there's all kinds of horribly dangerous things in the forest, but as long as they stay on the path, they'll be safe. If they leave the path, they may never find it again. They'll probably be lost. But as long as they stay on the path, they will be completely safe. He reiterates this point, and from that point on, as they go through the forest, there's all kinds of ominous things lurking on all sides, and yet none of them come onto the path. But what ultimately becomes an image for temptation in the religious life, all kinds of things cause them to question the wisdom or to tempt them to leave the path. Whether it's their hunger, their confusion, the darkness, the gloominess, their curiosity of how much further, their need to reach out and grab something. There's all of these different things. And of course, eventually they leave the path and disaster follows. They don't ultimately meet their end in the forest. The 1 in 1,000 chance that Gandalf speaks of comes through, but the point is made. They had a simple instruction: stay on the path and you will be safe. Stay on the path. That's all you have to do. And yet, ultimately, they choose to leave the path, and as promised, bad things follow. This story always comes to mind for me when we hear readings such as today, leading into the mysteries of Holy Week. Today's first reading, we hear the covenant that God makes with Abraham, who he's promised that of him he will make a great nation, descendants more than the grains of sand on the seashore. And so he promises this great nation. He makes the covenant with Abraham and for all his people for time immortal. Well, in the gospel, it says it may not immediately seem connected, but we hear the continued dialogue between Jesus and the Pharisees as his opponents, and they still are questioning where he's from. Jesus speaks of coming from Abraham. They say they're sons of Abraham. He says, if you're sons of Abraham, you would listen to me. And of course, they reject everything that Jesus has to say. But what this points at, this back and forth as we've heard in the Gospel of John, and Jesus ultimately ups the ante, and this is where they try to stone him, when he invokes these words, I am. This is the moment in the language of the Scriptures that Jesus is declaring himself as God. I am. The way that God reveals himself to Moses in the burning bush. And so they seek to stone him. They reject him for as he presents himself. But if we take this rejection in the greater picture of human history, the story of salvation history, from the beginning, a covenant is made. God says, you are my people. Here is the covenant. Here's what you must do, and in return, I will always be faithful for you. I will always provide for you. I am your God. And yet, at every turn, people leave the path. If God just says, all you have to be good is to stay on the path. Stay on the path. Here's the covenant. I'm showing you the path. Stay on the path and everything will be fine. But throughout human history, we always leave the path. And we always have excuses for why. They're the things that tempt us to leave the path. But ultimately, we were safe on the path. We chose to leave the path. That's the nature of sin. And so in the desert, at every turn, God provides, and then the people in grumble say, we're going to die out here. No, you're not going to die. Just trust me. Here's the covenant. I'll take care of you. Here's water from the rock. Here's manna from the sky. Oh, but we're going to die. We need to, Aaron, make us a molten calf for an image. Then God sends the people into the promised land. Here, I give you this promised land. It's yours. Just keep the covenant. Stay on the path. Don't be like the other nations. I've set you uniquely apart. Follow my ways. They don't follow the ways. They say, we won't survive. We have to do these other things. Disaster ensues. And so this is just a culmination, what we're hearing the gospel. The Pharisees, in a sense, represent all of us, this ongoing rejection. Jesus is presenting himself, here I am the fulfillment of the covenant. I am here to do the saving work of my Father. And in a sense, Jesus says, I'm the end of the path. All you have to do is just stay on the path. Nope, we won't do it. This is what will set in sequence the events of Holy Week, of the passion and death of Jesus, as he says, okay, you strayed off the path, but nonetheless, I come to save you. It will cost me my very life, but I love you so much that I will do this for you to bring you home safely. My brothers and sisters, as we finish Lent, as we go into Holy Week, may we keep our eyes on the prize. May we stay on the path to see the love and mercy of God. He, even when we are not faithful to the covenant, God cannot help. He cannot break the covenant with us. And so we rejoice because our God comes to save us. May God bless you all.